Hey all, Heretic here with another Hearthstone Battlegrounds Players Guide, and I'm here to bring you the information you need to help you win with infinite Toki. So get comfy and let's dive in. First, let's talk about the Hero Power Temporal Tavern. This costs 1 gold and reads, Refresh Bob's Tavern. Include 2 minions from a higher tavern tier. Not overly complicated now. Instead of, hitting the refresh button once, you want to make sure you hit your hero power, because when it refreshes the tavern, you're going to get 2 minions from a higher tavern tier. So if you're tier 2, there'll be 2 tier 3. If you're tier 5, now there's 2 tier 6. There's a lot of value in this. Now, it is a little random what you're going to get, because the entirety of tier 4, you're only going to get 2 minions. Odds are you might not get one you want, but at least gives you a better odds of narrowing down that field of minions that you're trying to dig through. And the later in the game we're going to get, the smaller the pool of minions is going to be at each tavern tier. So what I mean is, let's say you're tier 6 playing any other hero and you roll. You're not just going to have tier 6 minions in that pool. You're going to have tier 1 through 6. And those lower tiers have a much larger minion number in that pool. So as they're bouncing around and you're trying to get, a tier 6 minion here and there, it's going to be hard to get the ones you want because there's going to be so many minions in there. But if you hit the hero power, you're guaranteed to get 2 tier 6 minions. Now, it might not be what you want, but seeing how that's usually like 13 to 16 minions, decent odds compared to rolling through the hundreds of minions that would be in the pool at any given time for anybody else rolling. So it's worth considering not even bothering to go to 6. If you don't desperately need a tier 6 minion to win you a game, if the build you're looking for doesn't need that minion, maybe just sit on 5, hit your hero power, and see if you can get it that way, if it just makes your board a little better. It depends what kind of build you're going for, what tribes are in the shop, obviously, but anytime you don't have to tier 6, you save that gold, or, hey, now you can go to tier 6 when it's like 3 or free because you don't care. That's a huge value. Now, when it comes to tiering with Toki, there's a couple ways you can tier, and it really depends what you want to do and what's in the shop. But let's say you have a token. So you have a Shell Collector, a Elemental, Alley Cat, a Deck Swabby, one of those minions that allow you to 3-on-3 and keep something on the board. But now what you're going to do is, once you're on turn 4 and you have 6 gold, you're going to look at the shop and say, oh, let's say there's 1 minion you want. You're like, oh, this is actually a good minion. It's tier 3. You pick it up, you buy it. Now you hero power. Now you've got 2 tier 4 minions plus a refresh shop. You're going to look, you have that extra minion in your shop that you want to get rid of. Well, don't necessarily want to get rid of, but if you sell it, you're more powerful. So now you sell that, you pick up a tier 4, and sitting in the shop, if the other one's still good, leave that shop frozen for the following turn. You buy that one, you hero power again. You really can get a lot of tempo out of this and find some early direction, because you're going to have access to these tier 4 minions well before you should, giving you that edge you need to overcome, say, the Millhouse who's picked up a bunch of tier 1s and 2s. You're going to need that edge of the extra power for those minions, and as they help give you direction, it's going to help carry over to the late game a little earlier for you. Well, everyone's still digging, you're already starting to hopefully find your direction. And also there's Toki Curve. This has been around for a while. People who like to play Toki especially like to use this one, and it still works really well. The recent change to Toki's hero power just makes it better at what it did already before, because it's giving you more chances to find quality minions. So it's kind of the same premise of the 3-on-3. You're getting to those higher tier minions sooner, which makes you stronger than everybody else. Well, they might have more minions, you have better ones. Assuming you have some luck, that's good. Now, when it comes to the rewards I'm looking for when I'm playing Toki, there's nothing too specific you have to look for. Toki's hero power is giving you access to higher tier minions earlier than you should be. So you don't really need to look for any one quest because, hey, you have better minions. So any quest that gives you a reward that you actually can complete that synergizes with the minions you're finding, what I would do is look at the quest I'm getting offered and see which ones I can actually do. Remember, because you're getting higher tier minions and you're spending more time digging for quality, you don't want to just have to buy certain minions. Spend gold quests are great. What reward is good with that? Anything that's doable that is actually going to give you a bump. Don't look for anyone in particular. Look for the one that you think is going to help you win. As for the minions and the strats I like to use when I'm playing Toki, so Toki's great at finding tier 4 minions. very early. Both of these tiering methods I've given you, this is what you're generally building to, and this is the key part of the game here. Yes, if when you get to 5 and 6 you find nothing, you've probably lost. But these tier 4 minions are the ones that are going to be your center. This is what's going to hold you together. You are going to have a little better stats than everybody. You're going to get some special, better abilities than other people because they're going to get them later and not as many of them. Well, you're going to spend more time getting these 4s and then soon the 5s and the 6s. So the real value for you is sitting in tier 4. That's where your direction is going to be in the early to mid game at least. You know, if one of the first minions offered to you, say, is a dazzling light spawn, and you can pick up any death rattles, or you just get lucky and this thing dies last, you can get quick value, especially in non-Murloc lobbies, with a light spawn. You can power up your elementals much faster because you've got a dazzling light spawn on turn 4, as opposed to other people finding it on turn 7. The next two are both very conditional based on the tribes in your lobby and what you can find in conjunction with them. But Peggy and Eventide Brute, since once again you're getting these minions early, it's relatively easy to get value out of them. I mean, with Peggy, you just need to find another pirate, then cycle cards. Well, it's mid-game, you're going to be cycling cards. You're going to have natural growth. It might not be, hey, I got Peggy, so I'm playing pirates, but it's, hey, Peggy, I've got a ball of minions sitting next to it. I'm building in a direction, and then eventually I get rid of the Peggy, I sell the ball, and we have stats everywhere. We're good. If it's an Eventide Brute, you got spellcrafts, you got blood gems going. It's getting bigger naturally on the side. You might not keep it forever, but through those earlier turns, because you're picking this up on turn 4, 5, 6, it's going to be bigger than everyone else's, and it can help carry you through that mid-game. For me in tier 4, this is probably the MVP, and it's Rendell the Mastermind. Rendell, especially if gotten early, is a huge value. And if your hero power is, say, putting higher tier minions in the shop that you may not have the gold to buy, Rendell is now going to give them to you, or at least one of them, every turn. That's a huge value. You know, the longer Rendell can sit on your board and give you higher tier cards because your hero power is sitting them in the shop for you to grab, that's a massive value. The problem with Rendell typically is you don't know what the highest tier is going to be. You might go to tier 4, you might pick them up, and then it's just a lousy shop and it gives you a tier 2 minion, as opposed to when you're playing Toki and you hit that hero power in tier 4 and all of a sudden there's a tier 5 in the shop and Rendell's like, here, take this, go ahead. It's a good value. Definitely a minion that doesn't work for a lot of heroes unless it's found super early, and you can find them very early with Toki. In the later game, when you start hitting tier 5, Toki's hero power is going to give you access to this limited, smaller pool of tier 6 minions, and you're going to have an easier time getting them because, hey, you just hit your hero power and there's 2 in the shop. If they're both jank, roll it away. If they're good, buy one, let your Rendell steal the other one, depending where you are in your turn. There's a lot of value in this, and you can get some early direction because you're getting access to these higher tier minions earlier. Those are probably the best things you're going to be looking for. You've got that solid tier 4 random board, and now you're going to find those tier 5s and 6s through your hero power even faster to give you the ultimate direction of what's going to win you the lobby. When it comes to countering Toki, not really a big thing. You don't have to worry too much. It's basically a normal game of Battlegrounds. Just be aware that, especially turn 5 through 7, there's a possibility if they have gotten access to some really high tier minions, and maybe they've tripled one of them, you could be taking 15 damage. So, keep an eye on their board, see what they're doing. If you see triples, especially in this phase, be prepared. It's going to hurt. The later the game gets, the easier access they have to even higher tier minions. So the earlier the game ends for them, the better for you. But just like normal, look and see what tribes they're playing, countering them accordingly. If they're playing mechs, they're going to have a normal mech package. They're not going to have anything fancy from their hero power. They're just going to have access to those Omega Busters a little faster than everybody else. So just be aware and keep track of their quest and what they're playing. Overall, I really enjoy playing Toki. Toki can be a lot of fun and can be very frustrating. You hit that hero power and it offers you garbage, like neutral minions that do nothing. And you're like, well, crap, this turn we're not finding anything. You hit it next turn, nothing. And sometimes you hit it and immediately, power. You've got direction. You're good to go. You hit it on turn 4 and it's sitting there and it's like, oh, here's a Peggy and a gold grubber. And you're like, oh, well, I mean, I may not be playing pirates the whole game, but I certainly am now for the next few turns. It can be a lot of fun when it high rolls right. When it gives you all garbage, the best thing you can do with Toki is remember to take as much tempo as possible. If they give you a great direction, you'd be crazy not to take it. But if they just give you garbage, take the stats and make them work. You definitely can win with Toki. You're getting access to all those higher tier minions earlier than everybody else. And right now, at least, you have a bunch of armor, so your quests are easier to complete. You're more likely to survive. You're more likely to win. Toki is a lot of fun. Give them a try. You'll really, really enjoy it. Stay tuned. I have more guides on the way. I hope you learned a few things today and had a good time. I know I did. Thanks for watching. Bye.